It's worse for some. Population density. If you're in the top left, bottom right, those three quadrants are net exporters of raw materials, of food, and of energy. The top right one is the only one that's a net importer. In fact, the net importer is just this circle. Anyone notice a country in there that we've had some concerns about? China is the country most dependent on a peaceful, globalized trading system that can no longer be maintained. So whether it's because of the Russian war, COVID, a food crisis, a trade dispute, or the inevitable end of global trading access, this story stops. And that's not even the top reason we should expect it to stop. I've got that coming up soon. All right, back to energy. This is total investment from all sources, all corporate, all government, into all oil and all natural gas globally. Back in 2014, a story started circulating in Wall Street, in Paris, in Japan, that fossil fuels are done. You've heard this story. I think that's what the next panel is going to talk about. No pressure. If we're going to be done with fossil fuels between 2030 and 2040, if that's where we're headed, and it takes 3 to 8 years to even get first output from a conventional oil and natural gas field, and then another 5 to 15 years to break even, why would you pour your money into that? Now, there are a series of logical flaws with that freight train argument, but it took hold, and investment into the space plummeted by 2/3 over the next 7 years. 3 to 8 years to bring a project online. So if we double or triple investment in the space today, you should not expect a supply effect to hit the markets before 2025. So where we are right now, 2025, that's as good as it gets. Okay? Now, what is true for the global average is not true for each individual piece. I love this graphic sequence. I like to call this the checkbook map, because every dot is someone who has paid their power bill. You guys love the checkbooks, right? Yeah. Here are the world's conventional and oil and natural gas basins. A lot of the anger and angst and stress of the last 75 years has been about getting the energy from where it's produced to where people actually live and consume it. I'm going to give you another click and show you where the world's commercially viable shale deposits are. Watch North America. And some of those lighter ones are just ones that haven't had the exploration work, so we just don't know yet. There used to be a lot more pink on this graphic, but in 10 years, lots of people have poked at their shale and discovered it's just not all that, except here. There are a dozen reasons why US shale is fundamentally different from global energy. At least at this moment, this is the most important one. We produce it where we live, and no one else can. So even if the Biden administration botches this oil export ban, we're working from such a strong baseline, there'll be lots of fallout, but most of it will be on other continents. Checkbook map, zoomed in. Here is the most important concentration of checkbooks in human history. It's Marshalltown, Iowa. This is where I am from. Bismarck, North Dakota. Should you find yourself in Bismarck and you need a good meal, you're in the wrong city. And this is not a frat party. Western North Dakota, population 8? 9? 10. 10, okay. It's not lit up because everybody's afraid of the dark. It's lit up because of a problem with transport. Oil is a liquid. It conforms to the shape of the container. You can put in a rail car or a tanker truck or whatever. But natural gas disperses. And so much is bubbling up as a byproduct from the shale oil fields that they have to flare it until they can build out the infrastructure to gather it. That takes 3 to 15 months based on where you are. You can see the flares from space. You'll see the same thing in the Permian and the same thing in the Eagle Ford. Now, in the United States, we have the world's largest and most diversified natural gas system, but we still can't keep up, which means that for the last 15-odd years, natural gas has been unique in the American economic experience. It's been a waste product. It's sold for below the cost of production, in many cases, negative prices. And we've all gotten used to that, and it's been brilliant. But you play that forward and we use more of it because we all love things that are free. This is where we source our electricity. That light blue wedge is natural gas. And when US shale became a big thing around the mid-2000s, you can see we just exploded in our demand. We've expanded that demand by 50% in 12 years. All the free stuff we have found long-term uses for. And the party's over. Here's pricing, Henry Hub. Everyone on the Gulf Coast, of course, knows what these are, hurricanes. Storm comes through, you have to shut down production. Storm goes by, you send your crews back out, you spend months repairing the damage until you get it all back online. But by 2009, shale production was providing the majority of our natural gas, and every single shale well is onshore. We don't care about the storms from an energy point of view any longer, at least not from a natural gas point of view. And there's that long stretch of $2 to $3 gas that we all thought was beautiful. Texans, of course, know what this spike is. That's last January when Texas got cold. It got down to 27. Oh. And this is what we're all about right now. 9-ish. Now, we have only now gotten back to the 50-year average for natural gas prices in the United States. And we're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. You guys want to see what the Europeans and the Asians are about? They've lost their baseload supplier. They're replacing it with marginal suppliers. This does not yet represent shortages. That's coming. Almost all metals processing and fertilizer fabrication in Europe has shut down at this point. Industry will shut down for the rest over the next 6 months probably. Natural gas is the primary input into nitrogen-based fertilizers. Europeans used to be the world's largest suppliers. They've just disappeared from the market completely. We have lost access to all three fertilizer types globally. Now in the United States, we get our potash from Canada. I don't have a lot of good things to say about Canada, but I'll say that. We are the world's largest supplier. I was there for 2 weeks. They kicked me out. Natural gas, we're the world's largest supplier. And even with at 9, we're the world's lowest cost producer. So we're fine on nitrogen. And phosphate, we primarily source within North America, and we get the balance from like Morocco and Israel, countries that I think are going to be broadly okay. We're okay here. Most of the rest of the world is not. Now, the question is, where's our new price band? If it's not going to be between 2 or 3, is 9 our new normal? Is it going higher? I think neither. Here's where we get our shale gas. Now those bottom 2, the blue and the orange, that's the Marcellus and the Utica. Those are plays that we go after specifically for the gas because it's situated between Chicago and New York City. And so they don't have too far to send it. Natural gas is what they need. That's what they produce on purpose. The next 3 are the Permian, the Eagle Ford, and the Bakken. Places where we're primarily after the oil. But I mean, check out the gray, that's the Permian. See how much that's expanded? And no one's drilling there for gas on purpose. That's byproduct. Everything above this arrow, though, are shale plays from the original phase. I mean, get in your way back machine and go back to like 2005 when shale was a gas thing, not an oil thing. Those are the fields that broke the revolution. But then we figured out how to transform the technologies to go after liquids as opposed to gases. And we now have the shale revolution in its current form. What started last November is the shale guys are going back to the fields where it all started, places that haven't had a lot of attention in 10 years. Because when natural gas is at 2, no one's going after natural gas on purpose. But at 9, they will. And we're now taking the oil technologies and back applying them to gas. And you should expect everything in that top third to explode. In fact, it's already increasing pretty dramatically. But it takes a little time. One more reason why US shale is different. It's not 3 to 8 years to bring it online. It's 3 to 8 weeks. Or that's what it was back in 2019 before we had the everything in shortage economy. Workers, pipe, pumps. Now it's more like 3 to 8 months. It's been 8 months since November, and we're seeing output surge. But the Ukraine war is taking stuff offline faster than we can bring stuff online. Another reason to expect the Biden administration to move on export bans.